Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you've had a wonderful day so far. Today, I'm finally sharing the setup of my language planner, as well as my learning system and experience, and hopefully this will inspire you to keep your own planner and learn new languages. A few of you have shared their interest for this video, so here it is. But also, I wanted to take a quick moment to thank you all. It means a lot seeing your enthusiasm. And not only is it fun for me making those videos, it's also such a joy to know that it can be interesting and inspiring for others. So yeah, a big thank you. Okay, this planner. You may have recognized it, but for those who are new to the world of planning and journaling, and or new to this channel, welcome. It is the Hobonichi Weeks Mega. And this one is the Celeste Blue hardcover book. I wanted the Mega for the extra pages in the back that I will introduce later in the video. And because the Weeks Mega only comes in plain colors, I decided to add some stickers to make it more visually appealing and cute. That's why I also opted for a clear cover, and it is perfect for traveling as well. Keeps it clean. There's actually a bit of a story behind that book. I didn't plan on getting the weeks at first, but now that I've been using it for a bit, I'm glad I did. Initially, I was using those different notebooks and binder to write my lessons and gather vocabulary words, and that became a bit much to jump from one to the other. It is also a bit heavy and not super practical to carry around. And the biggest thing actually when using this system is that there wasn't much structure because I didn't have anywhere to plan things, to give myself some goals, or to track my progress. And that's something that I can finally do in my Hobonichi Weeks, all in one place. So let's jump right in and I'll explain more in detail how I've been working with this book. Okay, for the yearly view, I don't think I will use this yearly calendar page just because I don't have specific dates to tag, but who knows? There's still one full year to go. I might find use for it a bit later. And it's a little bit the same here for the year at a glance page. It is quite small to track any kind of information, and my learning isn't that intensive to the point where I would need that extra tracking, if that makes sense. But again, it can always change, and maybe one day I'll feel inspired about this layout. So jumping onto the monthly calendar view, I tested out a few things already. First, I can start with what didn't quite work, and that is the word each day that you see here. So on the Naver dictionary website, which is Naver is the main Korean web portal, they share one word of vocabulary per day. And I thought this would be super fun to write in my book. However, I soon realized that it felt kind of random because none of those words were used in any of my lessons. And as soon as I wrote them down, I just forgot about them, which is not the point of a glossary, right? So what I tried doing instead was taking one word from my lesson of the day and writing it in there. But again, it felt redundant and not super helpful, so I just stopped. What worked for me actually in this calendar view is tracking my learning each day. I used 3 colors to tag the type of resource I'm using. So green is for apps, purple is for media like song lyrics or articles, and blue is for online courses or textbook lessons. And I find that really helpful to see how much I've studied overall. I try not to put too much pressure on myself, and it always feels nice to see the consistency in my learning practice. I also add a small icon next to the colored dot to indicate more precisely the kind of resource I use. So here, for instance, I drew a little textbook because I used my grammar book, but if I studied online, I would put a small video icon. So yeah, this page is pretty empty. I have been away for a month. I only relied on my app to learn, which is fine. As long as I get in my quick Korean lesson each day, I feel satisfied. I did think of moving the dot system from the calendar to the year at a glance page because it doesn't take that much space after all. If I find a better use for the calendar view, I might try that, but for now, it's been working quite nicely this way. Okay, moving on to the weekly view. Okay, this one has been my favorite since I started. I think it's really practical and easy to manage. I try not to put too much information in there. This is meant to be referred to often, so I like keeping it quite neat. So on the dated page, I track my learning, adding a bit more detail than the monthly view. I usually write the kind of lesson I did or the unit I finished, and sometimes it does feel a bit empty. So I've been thinking of writing a few words per day, almost like a tiny journal in my target language. Honestly, I don't feel advanced enough to be able to do that yet, but I think when I feel ready, I'll probably start doing that because I think it's a great practice, creating your own sentences. So I'm keeping that in mind for the future. Now on the right side, I'm writing all the new vocabulary words that are introduced in the lessons of that week. And to make it a bit easier for myself, I decided to split them into 3 categories. There are the nouns, then what I call small words, like all the connecting words or auxiliary words, and finally the verbs/adjectives with their conjugated form. Well, if you were to keep a French language planner, for example, you might need to split verb and adjective, and to have the masculine and feminine forms as well. So yeah, for my Korean learning, this works for me, but it might be a bit confusing to you and you might prefer writing them in alphabetical order, and that's totally fine. I also use color coding for this and split the 3 categories with 3 colors. It's a small detail, but personally, it helps me memorizing better and it gives consistency to my book. When I flip through the pages, I know that all the nouns are in purple, and if I'm looking for a specific word, it's easier to find. Another small thing to help with that is adding those tiny drawings, because I know at a glance what the weekly lesson was about, and it adds more visual interest as well. But if you don't want to draw, writing a big nice title at the top will be just as good. So yeah, let's look at all the weeks. Some weeks are more empty than others. Some lessons have less new vocabulary words. It doesn't break the practicality in any way. Like here, sometimes it's just empty and that's fine. So I have yet to write the words of this week. Let's do that right now, and after this, I'll talk more about my lessons pages in the back. All right, so here we have the index page. I haven't been using this because I feel like there won't be enough lines for all the lessons in there, so I'm keeping it blank for now, and maybe I'll just do a list of all the resources I used during the year. I think that might work better actually. So yeah. Moving on to the notes section. This, by the way, was a small pencil board I got with this Hobonichi Weeks, and I don't really use it to underline anything. I prefer using my small ruler, but I like to keep it as a bookmark for my lessons because it's kind of just in the middle of the book, and I feel like with this I could just go straight to it, and I like to think that there is a use for this because I think it still looks really cute. Okay, so I'm gonna put this here. There are 217 pages total, I believe. Is it that? Yes, that's right. Which is perfect for my use of this notes section, which is also the main reason why I got the mega in the first place. My goal was to write all my lessons in there in a concise way, and to, again, have everything in one book. So for this lesson part, I feel like this is pretty straightforward, but I put a header with the resource I'm using, as well as the same little icon that I put in my monthly view. Here, for instance, it's hard to see, but it is a YouTube channel that I follow, and I've been loving her short lessons. So I wrote the name of the channel, the little video icon, and finally I put the main title of the lesson right here. I think it keeps it quite clear, and I've been using it that way for all my lessons. For all the Korean learners out there, I apologize because most of the resources I use are in French, just because it does feel way more comfortable for me learning that way. So I don't think that's really relevant for you. However, I would definitely look for free courses on YouTube to start, because there are amazing resources out there, and we don't want to spend so much money when we're just starting out. I don't know about the shorter videos on Instagram. I feel like they're not super helpful because for me personally, the information goes too quickly, and something I would recommend is following actual language teachers because they know how to approach language learning better. One of them mentioned how some of those fun, quick videos online are not always accurate. It can teach us the wrong things or in the wrong way, if that makes sense. Not that there's a perfect way to learn, but I think it's nice to look for those more in-depth courses made by certified teachers. Or I guess combining both could work, and that's why I use apps as well. They use a lot of shortcuts, and sometimes when I read a lesson in my textbook, I understand the grammar rule behind that. So there are multiple ways to learn, and what's fun is that we get to decide what we make of the information we find. So let's take a look at those pages, shall we? I try keeping a balanced page, minimal colors so that it's always clear to read through. And I've been really enjoying this so far. It does feel a bit small sometimes. I believe the grid is size 3.5 millimeter, which is really small, especially when learning a new alphabet. My letters always end up bigger and bigger as I write. So yeah, keeping the same color palette and indicators so that I can quickly refer back to this and understand. I write pretty small too, so it's not too hard for me to keep it concise. Here, actually, I studied the lyrics of a song, and the way I went about it was first writing the original lyrics, then finding a few good translations online, and then writing that underneath, and finally sitting down and actually trying to find the words that match the translation, understanding the structure of the sentence, and finding the vocabulary online. Which verb is used, which particle means what, and what I ended up writing here on the right side are those vocabulary words. It's a bit tedious, but I realize it is such a great practice as well, There are things that I studied earlier in there, and it made me so proud to understand without having to research it. So it's always nice to expand our resources and challenge ourselves with those kinds of exercises. I'm now at page 27 of my 200 plus pages. So I can't wait to continue writing lessons in there, and of course continuing this system that has been working so well for me up until now. So that is all for my language planner. We reached the end of the book. For my 100, I still haven't figured out what I want to write in it. Let me know how you've been using that in your planner. I'm curious because I can't think of anything related to language learning, but maybe someone out there has the perfect idea. Thank you so much again for watching all the way through. Feel free to like the video or subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!